What?
All right, guys, welcome back to the IWAR Network Tubecast. I'm your host, Alex G, and with me this evening is Matt Riley. What's going on tonight, Matt?
Everything. Everything. This is
Everything, everything and nothing.
the biggest show in a long time. So thanks for all three people who are tuned in.
Sure is, sure is.
So we'll get this is the trash talk review for the September cycle. September cycle.
Yes.
Sure, September. Yeah. And the start off, as this game goes, there's different ways to play. There's the strategy style, the storytelling style, and one of the things that we talked about a way to play is to be a commissioner. And you kind of be a commissioner is like an extra layer to the game. Whether you're doing things to engage players or get people more involved or whatever it is. More activity, more fun overall, really. So one of the things you do as a commissioner eventually is you have like several tasks, and every 3 weeks you pump out a report, and that goes on. I've been doing this mostly with a few hiatuses for like 8, maybe 12 years between 1989 to now. I've been doing reports for a 12-year hiatus for almost 30 odd years. And one of the things you do is you look for the replacement. The person is going to be able to take that job from you and keep the torch going, and you pass the baton and keep it going, and that's a really important thing to do. So after many years, like I would say, for example, we've seen in the NWL, it was Frank and myself originally, and then Bob Rogers stepped in and took it, boom, another level, and then Alex came in and just ran into the ground.
Sure did. I sure did.
Yeah. No, that was 2013. You came in 2014. You took over the NWL, and then 2016 you moved on to the IWL. So you've been doing reports for a long time. So the big news, the big news, is that we will have a new commissioner for the IWL next year, and that will be Derek Tuttle. And yes, clapping and much rejoicing. Yes, Derek may or may not be able to make it tonight. If you can, that's cool. But if not, we wanted to get the show out. This is the Trash Talk Review Show. We want to start off with a couple of big news items. So this is the first part. So Alex lucked out again and gets too far off in the sunset. Now, Alex is still going to stay around as a player.
Of
So
course.
Alex,
So I think there's gonna be a bunch of questions in regards to this. So
yeah.
I'll try to answer those and kind of order. I'm not going anywhere. First and foremost, I'm still going to be playing as a player. Tubecasts will all, that stuff will all happen. So no issues there. It's just, we say this all the time that real life often gets in the way. And with my schedule right now for work, is extremely heavy. I'm hitting 50 to 55 hours a week at this point.
Dude.
Yeah, it's a lot. Usually you have to get up like about 5 o'clock in the morning, go in, and I'll get home till 7:30 at night. So it's been rough. I'm not gonna lie. And the IWL is a league that's near and dear to my heart, right? So it's a big deal. And if I can't give it the attention, and I don't want to put out the quality of work that I'm accustomed to doing, then it's time for me to step aside and do the right thing and just get someone in here that's number one, that has the time and has the passion, and I think Derek is the perfect choice for this position. So I'm happy that he was able to step up to the plate here and take over for me, and it's different doing a brand new league and taking on a top 10 league and number one league with the last couple of cycles, so I get to leave on top at least. So that's the way. That's the way you want to leave. You want to leave on top. So we'll be transitioning this basically this entire time, but we're gonna, my final commissioner report will probably be the Starcade report, which will probably be January, maybe holiday. See I'll see how that goes, but
Yeah.
one of those around that particular time. But Yeah, that's it's basically it's just simple. It's just that I don't have the time, and that's
Right.
all. Passion's still there, work's still there. It's just time. I don't have the
Right.
time. Um, and it does break my heart, and it does make me sad. But it's going to a great guy, so I look forward to see what he can do with it. So I'm still
Right.
going to be in the IWL too, and I mean I'm here for anyone that has questions or comments or concerns, and anyone that reach out to me in terms of tips for being a commissioner, I'll be happy to answer those questions for sure. Um, I think 6 years doing this report. I think 8 years total being commissioner.
Right.
It's a long time. It's a long time. So
Yeah. Every 3 weeks, cranking out a
every
report.
3 weeks, I've done it. I've done it with my arm in a sling. I've done it coming out of hip surgery. I've done it, having to work super early in the morning the next day and getting an hour of sleep in between. Uh, you know, I've done it. I mean, it's every 3 weeks. It does not stop.
And,
So
and we were talking before the show about like doing another show built around just for commissioners, just like talking about commissioner stuff. And I think one of the things that really helps a lot, because I think a lot of us do this, is we do way too much.
yeah,
So
you want to
and
keep
the
it
idea
simple.
is right. Yeah, I mean, you could do, and we've seen people do this, and what happens a lot is people burn out when they do a ton of stuff. And I use the example of IWA Flip back when he was doing commissioning us back like in 2014 or whatever. He
Yeah,
like was in the two leagues and just putting all this work into it and getting like nothing back. And I think at the time didn't have a really good wrap around when it came to like recruiting as well as you do now. But it burned him out. And that's the thing, when you put a lot of work in and you don't get the feedback you expect or you want, it's frustrating. And the thing is, like I said, the IWL is a super strong league, tons of players that are really good, bring a lot to the table. And, Derek's coming in. Derek's been commissioner in leagues before. He built the BBL up again, and then Rob took it on. And he'll step in and be able to do a lot. And one thing we talk about a lot is that the only thing about the IWL that's not going to change for sure is the stable initials. That's the only part that's just the old school. It's the oldest of old school leagues,
yeah.
and that's part of it. So,
No, that's
but otherwise,
part of the deal. He's on to do the draft this year. So
yeah.
so
So
it's,
he'll be drafting.
he'll
So
be drafting. So
we have 12 people in the draft right now. I'm still trying to ring that bell. So we got a couple weeks, but I got to crank out the preview issue this coming cycle. So I got to get that working on. So yay me. Let's see, notebooks here. Yeah. So
hey,
just,
maybe if you guys use the goddamn Amazon affiliate link, I wouldn't have to work fucking 55 hours every fucking week. You assholes.
right. So go out and buy your love gloves off the Amazon affiliate link. Make sure you tell your friends. No, but like you said, like, you're not going anywhere. You're still going to be involved, and we're still going to be
I'll
doing our
be here.
shows.
Someone's gonna ask me, "Oh, would you take on another league?" Not for a very long time.
Right. Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that I mean, you've talked in the past about some of your ideas for things, and it helps. But I tell people all the time, like, taking a break in the game. Some people think like, "Oh my god, if I take a break," it's like, take a break. It happens. It can help. You can come back. I mean, like, I'd love to see Larry come back, or Brian, or whoever, come back. But it's also good to come back to the game when you're like, oh, you're really itching to play it. I don't know. Just this game is really particular when it comes to former players kind of really sustaining the game now. So we try to help grow it by giving new players stuff to look forward to.
Especially, giving them opportunities to shine. So that's important. It's important.
Yeah. So that's the first part of the big news. That's the big news part one. Big news part two is next year, the Johnny B Cup and the Frank Morano Memorial Tag Team Tournament, which are the big prestige events in the spring, are going to be in as always with the IWL, BRL, and NWL. But for these events only, we're expanding the field to include the Bloodbath League, the Celestial Wrestling League, the Danger Zone League, and the Western Trails League. So those leagues will be eligible to compete in the Johnny B Cup and the Martin Memorial.
Not for nothing. If this was 7 years ago, they would be claiming that we're trying to monopolize the gold again.
Yeah. Well, it's what's really interesting is I had this idea about a month and a half ago, and I'm on this committee on this other Discord group that talks
Are
about,
you?
I am, yeah.
I'm sorry.
And I'm on this committee, and we were talking about various things in the game. Some people were talking about like their favorite memories, and some were talking about like the winning these events and how important they were and how prestigious they are in the game. And I thought, well, what if we made just the events? So like, there's it's not like we're adding a bunch of leagues at once or whatever. We're just adding it for fun, and it gets those leagues open. And the other thing I'm hoping to do with this is help some of our players in the league, like NWL and in BRL and IWAR as well, expanding their rosters to play in these leagues and help those leagues grow too. So it's kind of
fuck them.
Well, or that, but it's kind of our way of having some fun. I'm still going to work on the logistics of when we're going to have it start officially, because it's going to be a bigger field, and how we're going to do it out and make it work and all that jazz. But Derek is watching Rampage.
Is he? Sorry. Good for him.
Yeah. So, I let him know you can join the link I sent you, and you added you into the IWAR Creative Team chat group. So the link there will take you to Skype with us if you want to chime in and talk about your big plans. I don't even know what they are yet, but
we should actually do a fucking call-in show one time. Like post the link.
Yeah,
post it it's supposed like anyone that wants to fucking jump on.
Big Bad Bob in Albuquerque, you're on the air.
Be Rob Harper, Shane Cole.
Your favorites.
The worst. Rob Harper made me quit the NWL. That's a true fucking story.
No.
Like, he was the rookie of I would say, I'm going to say this. The rookies that the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years,
mm-hmm.
they've had a higher IQ, right? So they've been smarter, right? So they don't ask ridiculous questions all the time. Because if they did, I would hear them, right?
Right.
You gotta understand, it's 2015, and I'm getting asked the craziest questions. I once had a guy publish his own set of holds in the middle of a bulletin. I'm talking about crazy shit. Maybe one day we'll talk about all the crazy questions. It's the reason why I don't accept friends on Facebook anymore. It's the reason why IWL does not have an email to get in contact with me. It's just a lot of wild shit. I became a recluse because of the shenanigans and tomfoolery that I've had to deal with over the years. So kudos to those of you guys in the NWL. You're a lot smarter than the guys that I had to deal with in the NWL when I was commissioner there.
Yeah, I mean, being the NWL commissioner's kind of like an unofficial IWA spokesperson, because you get a lot of questions coming in.
You have to be nice.
Yeah, and you can't, and I would say for the most part, it's been, since I took it back over again, it's been pretty good. And then when Aaron took it, he's had a lot of luck, and Jeff as well, with some really great players. But every so often you get a player who, we had a guy, I think it was like a year ago, and I was at a Red Sox game, and it was I always remember that night because I was at Fenway in the stands, and my phone blew up. And he came to the realization that, because the players explained to him, like other players in the NWL chat room were like, "Oh yeah, the game's based on the holds randomization."
Yeah, Jeff.
It was mostly not so much Jeff. Jeff was there too, but it was Mike Dynasty really ripped him a new one, and then it was like, well, I don't blame him. And then the guy lost his mind and went absolutely berserk, and it was just, "You're all idiots for playing, and you're all
It's rigged. It's rigged."
And my friends were like, "What's up with your phone?" I'm like, "Tell them." So I'm explaining the IWA and then saying, "Yeah, but this is what's happening." So it was really fantastic. Yeah, Darren knows. Yeah, that was. And you know what? Honestly, some players just don't work out, and that's okay. I always feel bad when you see a player come in and like just deliver some awesome promos, and you're like, oh, great, and then it's like, and they're gone.
Yeah,
And it's
that
like,
happens every once in a while.
and that's too bad. And like, and some players come in like,
Remember that? Remember the Chameleon, right? So the Chameleon was in there. We did this. We talked about it on Tubecast one time. Like he didn't say anything for like 3 cycles, and we all got super worried and super upset. And then he comes back, like, "Oh no, the Chameleon's gone."
yeah, yeah. Well, that's the thing. And, not I don't play favorites per se, but like there are certain players that I absolutely like root for, like the whole like in the NWL the Mark Justice turn and how that's played out. That's been fun to read. Zanroar, it's been a fun read. And that's the thing is when you have guys who put a lot into the characters, and you see it like the BRL or like, I always say one of the biggest things in the game is playing off the cues of others. That's a really good thing to see. Like when you see players who pick up what you're putting down, so to speak. That's fun to see. But it also bums us out when you see players who are like, oh, that guy was fun, and all of a sudden
gone.
And then what's weird too is there are guys like there's a guy in the NWL, and he's active as a wrestler, and he's not a jobber, but he just does terrible. And he's wrestling like Super Shigemoto Samurai or something like that.
He's just awful.
And I mean, we have
consistently runs a 484.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, but it's like, but it's one of those things. It's like, we have the workshop, we have little things in the actual reports that talk about how to do better with scoring. There's lots of players willing to help, especially in the locker room. So I always feel like, and that guy emailed me a couple times, and I emailed him back, and I always feel like if I can only go so so I can't do your strats for you.
Well,
yes. Actually, I will if you need me to. I don't care. I can get you a 481 guaranteed. I'll make it happen. So, Derek, are you here?
I think I am here.
There he is.
There he is.
Yeah. I figured it out, man. I was trying to copy and paste a link, and I was going to my browser, and it wasn't coming up. And I literally copy and pasted it in my Skype. I had to download Skype, and it brought me here. So here I am.
Excellent. So we opened the show by saying that, the IWAR is expanding to 20 leagues. No, we said that Alex will be.
Johnny B fired me. He won't let me be a
Johnny B. Yeah, Johnny B was like,
"Oh my
I'm sick of your questions with my aftershave."
Jeez,
you went too far.
I still think Johnny B had one diamond earring in his ear, circa 1986.
I think he is Stetson for men. That's what his cologne is.
Do you think he was like the promoter in Ready to Rumble? Is that how you picture him? Because that's kind of how I.
Maybe.
I picture Johnny B as like an '80s teen movie villain.
Ooh.
Oh, he's gonna replace the playground with a condo.
Yeah, like Johnny from Karate Kid, or the guy from Ski Patrol.
Mm-hmm. Like you gotta ski him in a race for control of the lodge.
Yeah, like
that's right.
All types of shenanigans.
Lane Meyer will be skiing the K-12.
I always think about him like that, like because it's been like a fictional character I played off and on, and I'm like, man, this Johnny B guy, like, what is he doing? Because the bulletins used to always say, Johnny B says this month, up is down and down is up, and cats and dogs are friends. And I'm like, oh no, Johnny B knows.
Johnny B's dark side.
Oh my God. He's Big Bad Bob secretly, probably.
That's the thing I always wonder too. There's certain players, like, we all remember David Welker. He had the Baddest American Biker, and he did the same promo every cycle with like a few tweaks here and there. And it was comical, but it was also like, at first you're like, what is going on? And you see the same promo again and again and again and again. And I always figured whoever was helping him was just like putting in the minimal effort. It was just like, all right, who do you want to talk about this time? It was just like change name, change verb.
It's just a space. His types in the name.
Insert here. So Derek, asking you to. So we just wanted to introduce you as the new commissioner, and you guys will hammer out that whole thing of how you guys end up doing the pass baton and all that. But excited about it. Have you back in the fold, and a lot of players who are familiar with the work are going to be really happy, and I think guys who don't know yet will be really happy when they see it.
Yeah, I'm excited. It took me a little bit of time. I was really excited a long time ago to build up. Man, it feels like 2 seconds ago, and it also feels like forever ago. But like all the stuff with the BBL, like I thought it was a cool thing to try to build back up. And you guys know what it was and kind of what it became after a while. And the IWL thing is so intriguing because now you can correct me on this one. Didn't they delete the Union Express League to make the IWL, or were those two things unrelated?
Roughly, and Ryan, if he's out there, will know because Ryan was the commissioner of the UEL. Yeah. I believe he was commissioner of the UEL, and if he's out there, I sent him the link, so hopefully he'll get it. I believe it was running down because I was in the UEL for a while.
Yeah,
and he wanted to just start from scratch and start a new league. Yeah, and I always remember when news broke on the original dungeon about it, and people were like, "Oh, how dare this guy put this league together?" And it was like he had a good idea. It was just ran with it, like making an old school league, very low frills, and it just built. And I think one of the things, like the same thing with the BRL, what makes it a really strong league is we have probably 15 to 20 players who only play in that league.
Right.
And that really helps us. Like, if Darren comes in and he plays like in every league, that's great. But when you have players who just only play in your league, they're more focused. Like they're going to be, more likely to be active. And
some of these guys are like, that's the only TT they're doing. So they're spending time on it.
Right.
So it's not like they're writing like 8 different promos for like 8 different wrestlers. So it's a little bit different.
Well, if you think about it too, like, as I look at the league, I think, and I could be wrong, I came in when I was first in it. When did it start? 2012, 2013?
13, I think, was it started.
Yeah, and some of the guys, like, as I'm looking at the bulletin, like Magnum TL has been there, unless he changed, he's been there almost the entire time.
The entire time, yep.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's like, when you're talking about the dedicated base of people that have been in the league, like that's a guy that's been there the entire time. And
same thing with Haruki Fuji and Achilles Leos. They've been there the
Johnny
entire
Vegas,
time.
Neo Dragon.
Yeah, they've been there a long time.
Yeah, because I mean, even when I was doing BBL and you guys were talking about trash talks, I can remember all these names of guys that come in and certain guys that were in the BBL that are in there now. Like I see Litigation, I see different people, I see the Von Snaps, Bill Bonecutter. I see tons and tons of names that I recognize from just doing the YouTubes. Which I mean, God, at this point, that's what, 3 years ago. So
yeah.
Even a guy who's only hasn't been there that long has been there at least 2 to 3 years. So it's such a great league, and I'm super thankful that you guys considered me, and happy to be back in the fold. I was just, when I bowed out, you guys know how it goes. Like sometimes you just get burnt out on playing, and you're just doing all these things, and you're like, oh God, I'm just sick of. Like I had a really bad run of luck, and that contributed to it. And it just was one of those things where I was like, I got to stop doing this because I don't like it anymore. But the weird part is I kept tracking the holds even when I wasn't playing. So like I was in the SOS chat and I'm still updating everything. And everybody's like, why are you doing that? I'm like, this is my favorite part. And so I just kind of hung on. It's just one of those things where you take, I mean, you guys know, you've been playing for a while. You just, at some point you just get sick of all the stuff with it. But I've been thinking so long about it.
I just wonder how that first cycle where I have to do a commissioner report's gonna feel like.
It's gonna feel good.
It's gonna feel like weird. I've been doing it for so long. Like I think 8 years total. NWL too. Like every cycle.
Yeah.
I can remember the when you were doing the as Juan Cena and all that stuff. Like it's been a while, you know.
That's what I was. For those of you who don't know, there was a period of time where I had to hide my identity from the government, which is true.
That's not kayfabe. That's
true. So
that was awesome.
Yeah. That's wild.
Yep.
Like I said, I can remember all the work you guys have put into it, and I'm excited about it. I mean, there's a lot to be nervous about. I'm always wanting to do a really. You did such a great job for so long, and you had talked about Ryan. I'm trying to remember what name Ryan used when he first started. I don't know if it was like a JJ Dillon name or he had kind of like a kayfabe name when he started, but just the people
he had James something.
yeah, something like
It was
that.
like a Jim Ross type.
Yeah, something like I remember when that whole process was going on because I had kind of come back in and dabbled for a little while before I jumped out and came back in I think 2018 or 2017. But I just remember like all that stuff going down, and you talked about the dungeon and all that stuff. It's like it brings back memories,
Mm-hmm.
memories, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, so just excited about it. I mean, it's definitely going to be different, and I keep saying it, but I'm looking forward to it. I mean, it's big shoes to fill, but I'm excited about it.
The advice I have to give with dealing with this league, since I've been doing it for so long, keep everything very simple.
Yeah,
Very like you win this, you get this. You win this tournament, you get this. That's how the players there like it. You do something crazy, they'll look at you funny. He's like, "Can I just win this battle royal, get a title shot? Like, what are you doing?" So they like it. They like things very like, hey, there's 8 guys in this tournament. The tournament gets the shot at the world title. That's it. It's real simple. Otherwise, it's easy to run. So it's like, you get too in the weeds with points and all that kind of other stuff. You can get you in trouble, especially in this league, because they'll look at you funny.
Yeah.
Well, you mentioned earlier about the simplicity of play and like getting questions from players. Yeah. And that's why I always think like in the BRL, I've kind of been trying to simplify things in the last couple of years to make it so it's very easy to follow. And I always think what I'm doing now, while I'm doing less tricky, because I thought to myself, like, I could make it so that, like, this guy loses. Well, he faces.
Well, that's why I do. I see that same shit too. Like, these dual types of wild stuff, and it was like they weren't into it.
Yeah, and that's the thing too is you always say don't be afraid to like try something different and like move on, because I think that's a big part of it is being willing to, like, I was telling Aaron about this the other day, like, I think being willing to try new things, and if it doesn't work out, pull the plug on. Like I was like, for example, in the BRL last year or this year actually, it's blurring. I brought the American Savages back, and they just weren't jiving, and I wasn't having fun riding them, so I just took them out. Brought the Von Schnaps in for a run against the White Claw Outlaws. Finished. Boom. Brought Western Medicine back. And it's been fun. But that's the thing. I was thinking, like, I don't want to sit down and, like, be looking at my computer and, like, what am I going to write? Do I want to write anything? Whatever. And then just coming up with stuff, I think one thing, nice thing about the IWL, there's lots of storylines going on. So there's lots of things to set up. And, like, you're going to have, 2 pay-per-views before the switch over?
Yeah, so King of Pro Wrestling and Starrcade would be the last one.
Right, so you can kind of do that thing where you can kind of use Starrcade as both the finishing and the launching point. So that's gonna be really fun.
Yeah, it's like I've been trying to familiarize myself. I'm very familiar with most of the guys that are in there. Like I see names that I recognize right away, so it won't be that difficult. Plus, I'm excited to see the how the draft goes and all those things. So that'll be cool.
Yeah, I want to talk about the draft later on, just to kind of trying to pump it up because I want to get more people in. I want to try to get about 16 people. That gives us 8 rounds, really. We don't need that many rounds, but what's happening, a lot of players are saying, instead, like, I appreciate this actually. Some people think I don't like it. I'm actually going to like it a lot better in that, I'm going to put myself in essentially like with one wrestler, and wherever they go, the whole group I have will go there. And that's fine.
Yeah.
Another player put 2 groups in, and he's fine if they go to the same league or if they get drafted to different leagues.
Yeah, watch out for those limits, though. But otherwise, you're okay.
Right. Yeah.
'Cause we've had that before where, like, oh, now you're over the limit. Now you got to transfer someone out.
And remember, the draft is fun. Don't get legit mad at us, as happened one year.
Twice. That happened twice.
Twice, yeah.
Twice.
But one was more like
war was egregious.
Yeah, one was then compounded because I made a whole angle around it. Because I'm a dick.
I think it's weird. I did a couple of drafts with BBL, and it's like you can't you can't prepare necessarily for what everyone's going to do. You're just trying to get. And sometimes when you look at who you have, like even if it's someone you really treasure, you kind of want a different look coming out of it. You know what I mean? You want some different people coming in, some fresh blood. And hey, if they've done everything they could do in your league, like it's a good. Even if there's someone you covet and want to keep, it's good to have. Sometimes change is good, you know.
Oh yeah, one thing about the draft too is instantly the IWL draft will get better because Alex had a habit of picking guys who would just vanish or go out of.
I would take like take someone the first pick that I shouldn't be taking all the time. Like, I'll still take this long shot.
The number one pick in the draft, the Hebrew Hammer, Lance Horowitz, is inactive.
Oh man!
Like I'm the guy who drafts Sam Bowie over Michael Jordan. Yeah. So.
The only one who had it worse than you was when Larry had the CWL and he drafted all these women wrestlers to like, I'm going to build a women's division in my league. And like, all right, it's great. And I think only 1 or 2 of them were active. He drafted like 8 women. It was like, boom. And the thing I always say, my advice is always with a draft is, if you have a player who's already in your league, don't draft them, even if they have like the character, because you've already got that person active. Unless they said like, oh, I'm going to go wherever my wrestler goes, I'll go. That's one thing. But like, I always try to do is bring new players into the league, like the BRL. All these new players coming in: Flash Jack Ferdinand, Rhett Grady, Zydrate, Stevie Vertigo, like on and on and on. So I get like boom, loads up. So now we have all these guys, and what I'm trying to do now in the BRL to be better about is kind of giving guys better pairings, because I've noticed some guys really bring a lot to the table, and some guys are like not always consistent. So I feel bad that but that's part of the game, So.
Yeah, and I think the leagues have been built up, so it's like sometimes you're going to take chances on people, and sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. That's the thing about the draft. It's like any draft. It's like a real sports draft. You draft, sometimes you draft Ryan Leaf. You know what I mean?
Oh, both my teams are 2-0 in fantasy right now, so I'm knocking on wood.
Oh man,
this is the year, baby. This is the year.
Oh yeah, I got very lucky because I took Stephon Diggs #1 in both leagues.
Oh,
so,
all right.
Yeah. So I'm and I have Tua, and I took him super late, super late. People are looking to be funny, and I was like, listen, I think he's going to be all right. And
he's blowing up right now, so ride the lightning.
Yeah, hopefully it continues. We'll see. Who knows?
So I don't know if you heard or not, I mentioned about the Johnny B Cup and the Marana Memorial going to be much larger fields. So it's going to be the IWL, BRL, NWL, but we're also going to expand it, for those 2 events only, to the WTL, CWL, BBL, and DZL.
I'm upset that the TTL is not involved.
The TTL is
TTL
in spirit.
And the Casting Couch League.
Casting, yeah, well, in spirit. Yeah, maybe we'll bring him out for like the presentation of the trophy. Here's the old commissioner of the CCL, and he comes out like, Johnny Sins.
That's going to be the league I'm going to take over in like 3 years. And it's going to be ridiculous.
Well, that's when you were talking about when you first messaged me, Matt.
Yeah.
There were leagues that I thought about, like, if no one has if no one's commissioning certain of these leagues, like, I'd love to have, because wasn't the Grand Masters League, wasn't that
that was my yeah. That's the one that got me into the game.
Yeah, that's what I was like, man, it'd be cool to take a league that no one's really interested in and transforming it into that, or the Clawing Cat League. That's like another old school one.
That was mine.
That's kind of what I was thinking about, like some of these leagues, like as the GWL opens up, and just those are my ideas. Like I like the old classic names. Like we kind of got away from that with these. Some of the leagues don't have the L at the end anymore, and I'm like,
which was my idea, by the way. I was the first person that I pitched it, and I'm like, and then I wanted to do a league, but I never did it, and then someone else did it. But I pitched that to IWA like 3 years ago.
Like taking the L out and just doing whatever name.
Yeah, like does it have to be a league? Like, does it have to have an L in the title? Like, they're like, no. I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah, you know what?
No one ever asked that question ever.
Yeah, I don't know if it's. I guess the way it's become where it's like super customizable now, like there's a charm to like, I don't know. I tiptoe it because I think if you have a good idea and you're willing to roll with it, that's cool. But sometimes like doing it for doing its sake, I don't know.
I see a lot of, well, not so much anymore, but you used to see a lot of every 3 or 4 years someone come up with like, I'm going to do a throwback league again. And I always think
what
back.
that means.
Well, that means like, forming it around like a certain era. Like we're only going to do late 80s or early 90s or whatever.
It's fine, but you're never going to grow. It's going to be.
Well,
it's always going to be small.
Right.
Lone
And
Wolf League was a one-off. That ain't happening again.
Right. And what happened with MRL was like lightning in a bottle. It was perfect timing. You had a whole bunch of players who grew up in that era. So it was perfect. But what happened was as the game went on 15 years later, that pool of players was gone. The pool of wrestlers available was gone because they still held true to like the original thing.
Right.
And it just, and again, like you say, oh, I brought up one time, I brought up in the dungeon foolishly the idea of doing an ECW league like that, Yeah. And you throw it out there, and within 10 minutes, there's like people posting like ridiculous, like, well, this is stupid because of this and whatever. Hey, Adam Malloy's away for the Tubecast. Nice. There you go. Remember, did we do one of these on a Sunday?
We did.
Like a Sunday afternoon?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah, we always talk about like we're doing it a better.
We couldn't do that during football season though.
No. I'd be screaming at the TV too much.
Yeah, it's not gonna work. I don't even watch football anymore. My wife beat that out of me.
Really?
Yeah.
You're not still a Jets fan?
I am in spirits. I just don't watch the games. I used to listen to the games on the radio a lot, which was the thing. My wife hated it. So.
Do you know tonight's Red Sox-Yankees game was on Apple TV? I was going to check out, the Judge hits the home run. And I couldn't find it in my channels. And I Googled it. And it was like, it's on Apple TV. I'm like, Apple TV? Who the hell watches Apple TV? I'm like, I bet Alex does.
No, I don't fuck with Apple products. But
you got to watch Ted Lasso, though.
I've heard that's really good.
I mean, I've acquired that. I haven't watched it yet, but I do own that show. Thanks, Internet.
I was gonna say, if you don't have a link to watch, I have my ways of watching it. If you don't have Apple TV, but I was lucky to get it. Like we had gotten new phones. We have some of the family, like my in-laws, are on our plan, and then we added my son as he got in middle school. So every time you add somebody, you get like another year free of it. So it's like, I'll watch it, and I love Ted Lasso. There's some other stuff I heard is good in there, but we'll see.
I see that Adam uses Plex. I also use Plex.
What is Plex?
And one day, when I actually pull this off, I will have all my wrestling footage available for every one of us to watch at your disposal. That's
what is Plex?
Plex is it's basically a multimedia server. So for example, like I can get it's like picture like Netflix, but with all the shit you like.
Okay.
Like on my Plex, I have all my movies that I watch. So like, Nude Nuns with Big Guns, that's on there. Porky's 2, right. You know what I mean? Ooh. Like whatever movies that you like, and it's fantastic, and it's great. So it's like basically figure out a customized Netflix for the stuff that you like specifically. Like I got I got Different Strokes, and I got Facts of Life, and I got Knight Rider, and I can watch that shit.
What do you watch it on?
My TV.
Oh, do you use like a Roku, or do you have it on your?
I use well, you can do it both ways. So if you have a smart TV, you can download it. If you have a Fire Stick, I have the Fire Cube. So it's on the Fire Cube.
That's super fancy.
Yes.
I've been a Roku guy for a while now, and I have Plex on my TV, but there's we have a family friend that they came in and set up servers for like their family, and so we get all these new movies that come on now. So I usually use Soap Today on the computer. That's like my go-to. If you don't use it, it's soaptoday.ac, and it's cool. It has like everything. But if you're on Roku or Fire Stick. Like Plex is really good. You just have to find a server. Like it's something I don't totally understand yet, but it has everything on it. It's like you can get access to anything.
I'm remembering now that Derek was the one who taught me how to like find the hidden links for like pay-per-views.
Oh yeah, dude! I always have a hookup.
Yeah, I got my internet suspended like a month and a half ago. Like they shut it off.
That was a tough time.
Like
I got if you ever need if you're ever looking for that stuff, like I always find football streams, basketball streams, pay-per-view stuff. Like I always find a new site for it because it's like a derivative of an existing one. So if you ever need it, just message me. I usually have a hookup.
Nice.
I'm currently on the lookout for the TV show Grady. By the way,
Grady?
No, just Grady. It's a spinoff of Sanford and Son. There's actually 2 spinoffs of Sanford and Son. That's a thing.
All right.
Then and Barney Miller.
It's on Tubi. By the way.
I know. I mean, it's hard to download from Tubi. Like it's a pain.
It's on Tubi and Crackle, by the way.
Oh, fuck Crackle.
I'm just telling you. Listen, I'm just trying to help, man. You want to have it like downloaded to watch anywhere? Is that what you're doing?
Oh, that's what I'm doing. So.
You know what's funny is like I stopped for a long time. I was super into getting torrents. Like I would go on Pirate Bay, but and I was really super good about it. But I had, what did I get a warning for? What was the Michael Keaton movie where he was it Birdman?
Yes.
Yeah.
That whatever that movie was, that was like the one time where we were like I legit got emails about. I don't know if a tracker got on. It was like this one time I ever got caught downloading stuff, and my wife was like, "Don't ever do this again."
I got caught a bunch of times where they shut off my internet.
Yeah,
so that was rough. But the worst is like I downloaded Def Leppard, the album, and I got killed. I got a Def Leppard album.
Oh,
yeah, and I got killed on that. So,
what's your favorite Def Leppard album? I like Pyromania is my favorite.
I think everyone likes that one.
Yeah, is that too much? Like, is that too easy?
It's too easy.
Pyromania was good, but Hysteria felt like it was around for 10 years because it was like going into like 7th, 8th, 9th, and like I remember like sophomore year they were still milking that from videos on MTV, and I'm like, oh, this has been around. And then Guns N' Roses came out, and I was like, Guns N' Roses, and I forgot all about Def Leppard.
I remember Use Your Illusion 1 and 2.
2, yeah.
Yes.
Matt's a big fan of the Spaghetti Incident, so that's good.
I was Appetite for Destruction. That summer of '88 was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
being a hoodlum.
That's what I was telling my daughter about tonight. We were watching Rampage, and they had that tag match with it was Sting and Darby Allin.
Yeah.
Did you guys see it? Is this a spoiler if I'm telling you guys?
No, I saw. I know some people guys watching, but seriously, that match had me like I was both happy and like horrified.
Matt threw up.
It's not quite that bad.
Well, it's like so you got House of Black against those two guys, and okay, spoiler alert, everyone. Pause it if you don't want to know. But like when Muda comes out, I'm trying to explain to my daughter, who's like, she's 8 now, and I go, listen, when I was your age, I was watching these guys wrestle for the TV title.
Right. Yep.
And it's like, God, this is crazy that it's like 30, what is it now? 34 years later, we're watching them. Like, that's wild. That's literally wild. I've been on a kick of like watching guys, because you know when you watch old wrestling, like guys come in and have like very short runs. Like when Wyndham comes in and out of the WWF and keeps going back and forth, he gets like a 1 or 2 year run. He keeps going back and forth and stuff.
I miss those days. I wish it was like that.
Yeah, I do too. Because like I talked about Ziggler. Like Ziggler's literally been under contract since what, 2008?
Fucking Randy Orton.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, just seeing it, there's no other places for guys to go. No. And listen, I don't blame them. If you got a bus and $1 million a year, sure.
Do you know how excited I was when Outlaw Round Bass came to the WWF? That shit was amazing.
Well, I love when Widowmaker Barry Windham comes out. I'm like, oh man, Widowmaker's here to tell people what's what. And then he's there for like, I don't know, a year maybe, and then he goes back. And I love that excitement of it, but it's just crazy that guys used to do that so much, and now like it never. Well, it happens a little bit now, but God,
Like you feel like Dusty was in WWF for so long, but he was only there for like maybe 2 years, if that.
yeah. If that run is really cool because he's got to be. Do you think he's got to be at least the number 3 babyface, right?
Yeah, for sure. Out of nowhere.
Yeah. And it's like he's so good that no matter how much crap you pile on him, he's still one of your top 3 baby faces. It's literally like him, Savage, Hogan, and that's the top 3.
And it's funny because he gets in the big feud with Savage. He gets in the big feud with DiBiase. Like he's doing like cool shit. He's not like, he's not like a jobber. He's in the main event feuds the entire time, even though he's acting like a complete doofus.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Well, and not only that, but at the time they're still running like A, B, and C house shows. Yeah. So it's nothing to see like Dusty on top of like a C run or a B run. You don't even blink about it, It's just as wild to me. We're meandering down a lazy river, and I love it. Just wherever this takes us.
Wherever goes.
Well, I will tell you a fun fact. When Dusty first came to WWF, he debuted in Boston Garden, and we used to have like our local Nested Sports Network showed it. And I had the match somewhere on tape, and he comes out to the ring, and he goes to like climb the top turnbuckle to like pump his fist, loses his balance, and almost falls in the ring, and catches himself. So everyone's laughing. And he fights Ted DiBiase his first match.
Yeah.
And it's probably like they were like, hey, you guys know each other. But, we're talking before the show doing one of our, we call it Shoot the Breeze shows. Yeah. Probably next week sometime where we just sit in the air and talk for like, 2 hours about it.
Because I want to do like 35 minutes on how ridiculous it was when Flair came in. The WWF. Like how he has the belt. It's insane. Like it's insane.
And it's blurred. The digitalized belt.
Oh, it was nuts. Yeah. It was the craziest shit I've ever saw. And that transitions to like when Lawler comes down, I'm like, oh shit, Lawler's gonna become world champ. Because I'd watch all these tapes of Lawler beating up Hogan and Savage from Memphis. So I was watching these Kid Parker tapes. So when Lawler comes in, I'm like, he's gonna win. He's gonna be like Flair. He's gonna come in and win the belt, and he doesn't at all.
Well, if you think of what's crazy is. I remember if you guys remember when ESPN had that afternoon block of wrestling.
Oh yeah,
they would always flip flop. Like sometimes it was global, sometimes it was world class, sometimes it was
AWA.
Yeah. So you'd see like I remember seeing Kerry Von Erich on TV for literally 3 different promotions, and then he comes into WWF as Texas Tornado, and I was super confused. I was like, listen, what company is this guy in? Because I see him.
That happened to me with Slaughter.
Oh, yeah.
So I'm watching like the AWA. Like I'm sitting there watching, and I'm like, wait, I'm confused now.
Yeah, they used to have that ESPN block where it was AWA for a while out of Vegas because it was like the Rockers versus Rose and
Summers,
and those bloody matches. And like the people in the casino, whatever, Showboat Casino. And then it went from that to like WCCW for a while.
USWA, that's where I was watching Austin and Chris
Then it
Adams
went to Global.
Yeah.
Which was kind of back to WCW. It was fun, but it was also, he said it was hard to keep track of because it would be jumping like decade, like boom.
Yeah. The Global had a really consistent run for a while, which I loved because it was like the same thing, the same guys, and it didn't change for a long time. But like you said, like it jumped between like 4 different companies. Like I'd be watching WCCW for a week or two, and then next week it'd be like USWA's coming in. And here's Eric Embry taking down the sign, and then the next week we'd watching AWA, and I'm like, what is this? It's hard to. I mean, it's hard enough to keep track of stuff when you're a kid, but it's even harder when you like. They're legitimately just putting on whatever.
I'm just watching it all, sitting there enjoying like all of it because it was completely insane.
Oh, yeah.
So it's
I definitely.
I'm watching AWF and not giving a fuck.
Are you talking about like Warriors of Wrestling where it's like digital?
Yeah, like it's like it rounds and shit.
Yeah.
Tito Santana's the champ.
Yes, dude. Tito. Okay. So my number one most underrated wrestler of all time is Pedro Morales, which sounds weird, but he never gets remembered for how great he is, and neither does Tito. Tito is so good. Tito is one of those guys where like, do you know how they say if Hogan doesn't come back that like Snuka gets the run?
Yeah.
Like Tito could have been the guy in '84 too.
Yeah,
absolutely. You know what I mean at the time? Yeah. God, yeah. But it's how big does wrestling get with those guys? But like I said, with
Tito was the first wrestler I ever met. I'm like 7 years old at my local cable company offices. Like where
he was just hanging out paying his bill?
No, he's doing a signing, and there had to be like 400 people there. Like, this is like 1989 too. Like it's, and I'm like 7, and it's 4,000 people at Cablevision. It's insane.
Yeah,
but he didn't even sign anything cool. He had signed. It wasn't like an 8x10 picture of him. It was like this placemat thing with all the pictures of the wrestlers that had fake signatures on it, and then he was signing for real. Yeah, it sucked.
we do that for the IWA. Make our little IWAR, placemat. Signed by Johnny Vegas.
Oh man, I want a Big Bad Bob. Who is it? Wait a minute. Here's the thing I'm going to bring up, and you're probably going to laugh at me when I say this, but we need a monster truck Tanaka monster truck. That's what we need.
That's me.
Yeah, that's what I figured. That's what I thought. I didn't want to say that out loud. Oh man, Mukken Singh. Okay, so Darren's talking about Mukken Singh, and I remember seeing him. I like seeing him on something, and then all of a sudden he's in NWA as Norman the Lunatic.
Yes.
And I'm like, what is this?
Yeah.
Because you didn't see everything, but you'd see enough of it to like.
You know how confused I was between the NWA and WCW thing?
Oh my god!
Because they were flip flopping the names, and I didn't like. What is this show? What is it called?
It was worse when they actually didn't change the names, but just ruined the person. Like Terry Taylor became Red Rooster.
Yeah,
it's like what?
He wrestled as Terry Taylor for like a little bit before he became the Red Rooster and the WWF. They did the same thing with Mr. Perfect. Like he was Kurt Hennig for like a month.
Yeah.
And then he was Mr. Perfect. Then it was Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, or Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig for a while. Then the days dropped the Kurt Hennig part.
Yeah.
So.
Yikes.
It's weird too because you think about how many things that AWA had, and they didn't get it quite right with everybody. Like. They have Hulkamania first, and they kind of have the right idea with it, but not quite. And same thing with like Kurt Hennig, they have him as like cool Kurt Hennig,
the Rockers,
sunglasses. Yeah, and it's like they got a bunch of guys where they almost
Vader,
have it right, but they don't. Yeah. They just don't quite have it right.
It's almost like if somebody put together like a pod, like a Tubecast series of what if would have happened, the 1984 project.
Yeah.
Was that or was it the 90 project, Alex?
AWA was 90.
That's right.
We did NWA 84. And no, we did 83 and 84.
Because you're right, Derek. They were so close on so many things. But I think it's one of those things where Vern was just, Vern.
He's what Vince is now.
You see the My Two Dads manager chiming in. Mike Shaw was a bouncer at his bar in college.
That's dope.
Fun fact, I don't know if I ever told you guys this. Prince Albert / what was he? Tensai. He went to he grew up like a mile from my house. Like we were like completely missed each other. But he was I switched high school senior year, and he had graduated the year before. So like it was just funny that like we went. Of course, we were at Kowalski's together for a while. I infamously went to do the I call it the Ricky Steamboat slide spot, where you go between the guy's legs and come up and do a couple chop, and then he hits you. Except he like lunged down when I did it, so I nailed him right in the crotch, and he was pierced. So it was like, sorry, that was. Oops.
And there was a time they got beat up by Triple H. So that was cool.
Yes. Yeah. So. Yeah, man.
You said my two dads. That's a forgotten bit of media. Like I always think
that's a good show.
Yeah, well, okay. I tell you guys this. Do you guys use Pluto TV at all?
A couple of times, not regularly.
So I have a buddy he's one of the people that started the Pluto Pro Wrestling and MMA channels, and maybe the boxing channel as well. And I was talking to him the other day, and I go, "What do you think if you got some of this lost media, like My Two Dads and maybe Maude?"
I was watching Maude the other day. It was a great show.
Maude is so good. B. Arthur is the best, but like Mama's Family and like some of the cheapest like syndicated shows that people know. And I was talking about doing getting those shows together on one of those Pluto channels, because actually my real idea is collecting and gathering public domain shows or public domain things and putting it on there, because it's literally cost nothing.
Wow.
But, yeah, just
you should get learning the ropes.
Ooh, with Lala Zato?
Yeah.
Oh my god. What was the show? Was it was he on Necessary Roughness, or what was the show he was on? God.
Lyle Zato?
Yeah. Was he on another show? I'm gonna Google this right now.
Oh, I'm sure he was.
Yeah, for sure.
You mean like a non-wrestling show? Just like a wrestling, like a football show?
I don't know. When I said that and you said we're talking about learning the ropes, I remember that show, and I was trying to remember. You guys remember the movie Necessary Roughness with Sinbad and
Scott Bakula?
Yeah.
Kathy Ireland is the kicker in that movie.
Yeah, Coach Gennaro and that other guy who's his assistant coach. It's in like a bunch of movies. He's like a grizzled guy. I can't remember his name either, but that's a great movie. Man, what else was Lala Zato in? I'm gonna look this up.
The greatest TV show of all time is Small Wonder.
Ooh.
I would go that far, but it did give us
Jesse Ventura makes an appearance.
Mascot.
And on that
Small
show.
Wonder?
Yeah.
Speaking of Jesse Ventura, have you seen Carrying Cross's Jesse Ventura?
Man.
That's really good.
It's really good.
Yeah, it's way too good for what it should be. The same guy I was telling you guys about that runs that. Man, he died in '92. Lala Zato.
Yeah.
Anyway, the guy that runs that Pluto channel for what's his face? He's buddies with Cross and Morrison and a bunch of those people, Luchasaurus. So, where was I going with this? I'll come back to that. Lala Zato was also on the Gary Shandling show a couple of times too, which was great. If you remember that show.
I'm a big fan of Dream On. You ever seen that show?
Yes, dude, that's a good show.
And there's the HBO version, and like there's like the regular TV version.
Yeah, the HBO version's what you gotta watch. Yeah. It's too good. Small Wonder, man. Lala Zato has quite an IMDb.
You know,
MacGyver.
He fought Muhammad Ali for no reason.
Yeah, good.
On purpose?
Yeah, they had a boxing match.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Well, that stuff. It's funny people laugh about those things, but I saw where was I? I saw it tonight. Floyd Mayweather is fighting some Japanese kickboxer.
Yeah.
On pay-per-view coming up, and I'm like, man, the more things change, the more they stay the same.
You gotta get freak show fights.
Floyd Mayweather and the Rumble, and I owe back child support.
Oh my god, that guy's like, and I always laugh when he's like counting money, and there's a guy with him who's like double checking it, and I'm like, oh my god.
Oh, I saw that video. Yeah, I was like, okay.
Yeah, I just can imagine the guy who's literally probably made just in salary alone $500 million, and it's like, oh, geez.
Yeah. Well, you know about Logan Paul's fighting Roman Reigns at the Crown Jewel.
Good for him.
And people were like freaking out about it. And I'm like, of course they're doing it. They're trying to like capitalize on his, if you draw his 30 million fans in, get eyes on it.
The way I feel about celebrities is this: number one, he's athletic enough to do some stuff, which is cool, which is fun. And don't forget that, like, fucking Mr. T's in WrestleMania 1 in the main event. Like, fuck off.
Right.
Like, what the fuck are you talking about? Get the fuck out of here.
Action Bronson fought tonight.
Did he? Good for him.
Yeah, him and Hook had a tag match. And,
he had good timing. Like, it's weird, and I don't know how to say this, but I think he runs the ropes better than Hook. Like, it's odd.
He runs the ropes very well. And I even noticed he gave himself a stutter step to give the guy time to get out of the way. I was like, that's smart. That's a hard thing to do. Plus, too, he heads. I always feel like, remember when Bam Bam Bigelow fought Lawrence Taylor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Lawrence Taylor did like 3 or 4 things very well, and they stuck to it. But after like 5 minutes or whatever it was pretty obvious all he had going for him.
Well, he jumps up the top rope or the middle rope and does like a shoulder block at least twice in that match.
Yep.
And it's like, and actually, to be honest with you, that WrestleMania is actually an underrated WrestleMania.
Is that 7, 6?
11.
11? Oh my God.
Yeah, they run in Hartford, I believe.
Yeah, it's like it's like in the depths of like we're gonna run the Civic Center because business is really terrible right now.
It's like, you know what's funny about that though is like I feel when I go back and watch that stuff, like that's the point where they figured out, okay, we have to turn this around, and this is like the jumping off point of like we got to get out of doing just high school gyms and blah blah blah.
It was bad for a while. Like they went back to the like 200 people. Like it's really fucking bad. Like I already checked out by that point, and I'm watching WCW full time. Like right after SummerSlam '94, like after that Luger shit, I was done.
Yeah, it's tough. That's a really hard. WCW in '94 gets kind of good for a little bit, and I don't know if it's on purpose. It's like a little era in there where they do a couple Flair and Steamboat matches.
It's the Bischoff pre-Hogan era.
Yeah.
So it's right before Hogan comes. It gets really good because you got Rude with the belt. You got Flair. You got Steamboat. Austin's U.S. champion. You got Steven Regal. Like it's got really good there for a minute, and then Hogan comes in, and then like, Duggan wins the U.S. belt over Austin. Well, not really. And One Man Gang is back, and it's Kamala and Honky Tonk Man's there. Like, jeez.
Yeah.
It's a tough. They're figuring it out, but I will say that once Nitro gets on the air, it's like it rolls because they figure it out. Like, okay, we can't do it like this anymore.
And I'm a big Dungeon of Doom guy. Like I'm a Dungeon of Doom apologist.
Yeah.
I kind of love the Dungeon of Doom. Like it's so over the top and it's so ridiculous, and like there should have been more guys in there.
Yeah.
Like I was waiting for like some of these other dudes to come, and I was like,
My one buddy when I was in middle school at the time, he talked about how Braun the Leprechaun was his favorite wrestler. That always made me laugh. Because I'm like, who is Braun? He's like, oh yeah, I saw Braun the Leprechaun. I'm like, I don't even know if I realized who that was. I think it was Buddy Lee Parker.
Yes.
I could be wrong on that.
No, you are correct.
But he just was like, Braun the Leprechaun. I'm like, you had to see him. He might have appeared like twice, maybe. And it's like, I don't even know who that is. But I'm fascinated with going back and watching like old In Your Houses from '95. Like just watching them try to figure it out is crazy to me.
You should go back and watch Worldwides from like '93.
Ooh, I have.
Like it's insane.
What's the? I gotta think about who the guy is. I have his link. It's a guy who had a Google Drive, and it's a bunch of old like Saturday nights. And what was that guy's name? And he was selling access to it.
I have it, by the way.
Yeah, it's WCW Deep Cuts. Here it is. That's my jam. I love to put this stuff on because it's just Power Hours and old Worldwides and
There's something very relaxing about watching a wrestling show where nothing happens.
Just
like no huge
matches
just no huge angles, just nothing. Like go back and watch the Superstars from like '89 and like there'll be one angle and then like there'll be like 9 weeks of recapping the one fucking angle they did. So it's like nothing happens. And it's something like there's something comforting about it.
There was a what's his face? There was a house show in Wheeling for WCW years ago, and I remember going to it. It's on a Saturday night, and Galaxy and Seagull would pay team on Pro or Saturday night before I left for this show, and then they wrestle each other on the show. And I just remember being like in the crowd, "You guys were a team 2 hours ago. Why are you fighting? You guys were friends." And that was just my dumb. Like
Mark.
You see those shows and stuff. I love that stuff. Oh my god. Bastion Booger.
Like I like watching like the Disney tapings because like they have negative title reigns, so people will lose the belts before they get them. Like it's awesome. Yeah. It's awesome.
That's wild. I can't imagine having.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I can't imagine having that all in like. How do you even do that? I mean, I know how you do it, but it's just.
Hey, pardon me, you're gonna lose these belts that you're gonna win 3 months from now.
Right.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
All right, man. We probably should do some TT at some point.
Oh, I'm sorry.
We should.
I was riding the lazy river. I apologize.
That's all right.
So, Matt, I guess we'll start off with the BRL Battle Royal League.
You dick.
Well, you have to do 9 of these things anyway, so I figure.
I know. Are you doing the IWL?
Yes.
Good. All right. So, BRL 590. So, let's see here. Well, we are coming out of the Autumn Anarchy pay-per-view, and we're going into Battlecade in a few cycles. So, be here before you know it. So, let me jump down here. So, I do want to let the players know that the guy who runs Jack McAllister's might be out of the game for a little bit, so I'll get a final word on that pretty soon. But I'll let you know if it's going to happen or not. Yeah, he just got stuff going on, so he might be dropping for a bit. So
prostitution.
Yeah.
So,
all right.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No. Oh. So let's see. Well, of course, Dick Jackson column. You can always read that to kind of catch up on all the kind of stuff going on. Let's see here. What they're saying. I brought that back, which is this is a good device for anybody out there who has multiple wrestlers in one league that they do promos for, especially if you do like one-page promos. I bring back, this is an old thing from like wrestling magazines from the 80s. They'd have like random, like, or even 70s, like what they're saying. They had like 5 different wrestlers just kind of blurt out like a quick promo on something. Like,
yes,
it could be anything.
Then you have Bruno calling someone a villain and saying doggone it.
Yes. Yeah. So, I kind of use this. So I just have, LePage Turner talk about a couple things. So the big thing with LePage Turner is he's mad that he lost to Punk Rock Mike again.
Well,
and failed to take the global title off him. So he also lost the IWAR World title, so he's mad about that. And he's like, you know what? If I can't beat you, I'm going to help someone beat you. So he goes to the locker room of Country Hammer Rick Grady to offer advice. So we'll see how it happens with that.
Sexual favors.
Monster Truck Tanaka is still fighting his war against Greg E. Ganar in the Pain and Destruction crew. And a side note, every so often a player comes along and like will demand a shot at a title. And I always feel bad when that player has a good feud with the champion because it makes sense. We see it all the time in actual wrestling. The problem is in the game, we base the results off of, the movements off the results. And so far, Greg Ganar hasn't had that luck yet. But I will say the finals for the next person to challenge Tanaka for the North American title is between Dr. Piledriver MD and the pharmacist RX Payne. So that's kind of cool, because RX Payne is one of his enemies, so I'm kind of pulling for that to happen. U.S. Mail, of course, calls the Foreign Menace Hawaiian Heartthrob, destroy him, and they're setting up a Survivor Series match. So we'll see where that goes. Hio the Teamster is asking other wrestlers for money because Mysterious Benefactor has his best of 5 series challenge, but you got to put up $250,000 to get his $1 million, and he doesn't have that kind of money. So he's kind of asking guys to help him out. And of course, Adam Cash is talking about facing Double R Rob Ratliff again. So we got that going on. We got Western Medicine. This is a fun read. If you are have some time to kill, it's page 36 in the BRL. It is Western Medicine and some of their highest finds. So you can kind of follow their various things. These are all actual promos we did where they did horrible things to people, and this is the way they got fined. And it's a way of making fun. I was kind of jammed up for an idea, and I thought, okay, this would be fun. So next up, just so you can see, I added a new page. It's the Commissioner Championship kind of brackets, so you can see the standings. And just remember that we don't base title shots off the points earned. It's more like who you beat in the tournament. So those points you earn, which is going to show like Jack Ferdinand has 9 and Mike Hook has 9 and Headstone has 1. It doesn't really matter. It's more of who's winning the tournament at the time. So, and again, it's a work in progress. So we lead off with more promos. Greg Garner He still wants a piece of Monster Truck Tanaka. He's also taking aim at Adam Cash. He's taking aim at other people. He's got a lot of things going on. And he kind of talks about how it's better to have all these, different things going on. Like he also wants a piece of McFerrari and the Legends of the New Wave. So we got a lot of things going on, which is good because I feel sometimes like we put all of our eggs in one basket for a feud, and if that guy goes silent, we mentioned Big Bad Bob earlier, I will always be bitter against him because I wrote a promo for Monster Truck Tanaka where he went out and did a promo. I wrote it it looked exactly, font, everything, just like Big Bad Bob's promos, except for when he read it, it was Monster Truck Tanaka attacking him, and he never responded. I'm like, dude, sorry.
He didn't like you.
He didn't like me, yeah. So we get a sneak attack on Adam Cash by Pain and Destruction. Then he beats up Terry Crews, who is the host of the TV show for Legend of the New Wave. So even Terry Crews can't escape the wrath of Pain and Destruction. Next up, we got Colonel Doom, who is came down from the NWL, and he is part of Pain and Destruction with his brother. So he's kind of calling people out as well. The mannequins, thugs for hire. They're putting a lot of traps in the water, so to speak. So we'll see what happens. And then he has Arya Gunpowder, who is Colonel Doom's girlfriend, I guess. It's hard to say. I thought they were not, but they get that worked out. And they come down with a bucket of chicken and shove it in Tanaka's mouth. So that's going to be, that's a fine. So we get that going on. So we're going to see some repercussions of that. They also beat up McFerrari. So, they're always attacking people. So I just asked, have some creativity. I enjoyed the chicken bucket attack because I also love chicken. So we get the Suburban Hill Savages with Punk Rock Mike celebrating his big win over his arch rival, Page Turner, that he retained his championship. He also talks about they want to settle things up with Jax McAllister. So if Jax McAllister can stay active, that's going to happen. Agent 26 wants a piece of him. If it doesn't happen, it's most likely going to be Wisp and Agent 26 in the third other series to kind of settle that beef. They've went 1-1 so far. Next up, we get, of course, the latest episode of Vertigo's Got Talent, which is Stevie Vertigo's version of America's Got Talent, and the one Terry Crews is on. And, of course, Luther Alexander comes on to, offer his own influence. We have a promo from Luther Alexander talking about his successful time in the BRL, League Championship, Commissioner Championship, and, of course, the Gold Federation title while he was there. So, and Metro, I think, was the other one.
Yeah.
Very successful Luther run there. That was a fun run. That was a fun little run in the BRL when you were there. Talking about Steve Vertigo being a thorn in his side, the Redemption Tour, calls out his old buddy Adam Cash, kind of, needs to talk to him. Of course, Mike Sebastian, can't forget, had that wonderful feud over the $1 million belt that Luther stole.
He won it.
Right, yeah. So, hey, stole it away. You call it a win, I call it a steal.
Oh.
Next up, we got Tommy Zulu, the Mad Dog, who's prepping for his big showdown in the cage against Kabuki Dragon. And, it's just those two have been feuding for a long time. So this hopefully will settle it because they had a tie at the last pay-per-view. And hopefully that'll work out because I'm looking forward to those guys both kind of settling their feud and then going on new directions. Next up, we have the Olympians who talk about the success over the Western Medicine. Not aware of who they were as the challengers, but they defeated them anyways. And now they're looking for new opponents. Now, I will say there's some matches coming up this cycle that will be between, the Mannequins and I forget. I'll get back to it. Anyways, big tag matches will determine the challengers. And just so you guys know ahead of time, I'm looking at resetting the schedule for the pay-per-views next year to kind of give ourselves a little more time with all the prep work from the Achievement Awards right up, and then the Johnny B. Cup stuff going to be launching, and that's going to be really huge. So we're going to reset those schedules. We'll talk about that later on. Rick Grady talks about getting ready to face Punk Rock Mike, and how Punk Rock Mike has all these gigantic wins, but experience don't overcome toughness. So Rick Grady, one of the more popular rising stars in the league, facing the top star, top babyface. So it's kind of a good showdown. And he still has some beef going on with other people there too. So like the McFerrari guys, kind of in the background. Rec Brady's going to challenge McFerrari for the IWAR championship, and those guys have been feuding for a year, so that's going to be a lot of fun. We get Flashy Jack Ferdinand, and he's calling out Hawaiian Fart Slob, not Heartthrob, but Fart Slob.
That's
and
fair.
He talks about him defeating Sabretooth and moving on from that. He talks about calling out Adam Cash, and kind of setting up. Basically, he's building his alliance because Flashy Jack Ferdinand, if you don't remember, was part of the stable called Dynasty that came out of the NWL, and it was the Hillbillies, and it was Hollywood DVS or DVR or whatever he called himself. Anyways, they all left the league and left him behind. He stayed behind. Well, now he's at the Mannequins with him. He's got Double R Rob Ratliff, and now he's at his old tag partner from Modern Models, US Mail, out of the NWL back together. So they're looking to make some news that way. The Mannequins talk about Samoan Death Grip, and they're kind of bitter about the White Claw Outlaws not taking him seriously. They want to really knock down these top teams and prove it. And of course, they won the Bad Company Cup last year, so they've got a lot of sway behind their name. Now can it go to the next level? We get a screenshot of a phone. Yo, Mr. V, and this person's saying that congratulations for beating Luther in the Best of 7 series, and that if he can have an injury like Styles, that would be great. We saw another ominous message like this last month where someone said, if you can injure Luther, there'll be more money in it for you.
Son of a bitch.
Who's after Luther?
The IRS.
You need the, what they're called? Oh my God, that commercial. I hear it 1,000 times a day. Someone associates who can get you out of your IRS money.
I was trying to get a job at the IRS, and what I want to do is, if I got this job at my office, I would have had a framed picture of Erwin R. Seister in my office.
What would you have done if you went to your interview and the guy already had one?
What if it was his Mike Rotunda?
What if it was Mike Rotunda? Yes. So, all right. So getting back to the Royal Family of Doom, we have Sabretooth and Decapitator and Tombstone all kind of talking about the future of the team. They're the new Global 6-Man champions. They beat BHD, and who saw that coming? But they're really on the way up. So they're talking about the future of the team, and it's time for them to find a new opponent. So I'm curious who they're going to go after. We get Kabuki Dragon talking about he broke some bones, kind of like recovering, but he's going to be ready in time. If everything goes well, he'll be ready to face Mad Dog Tommy Zulu in a cage at Battlecade. We get Johnny Carnage expressing his frustration at losing the triple threat match to Punk Rock Mike in the main event of Autumn Anarchy. He wants to prove he's better than him. He knows he is. And
he is?
Kind of leaves it.
I don't know about that.
We get Rick Splatterhouse. Now, Rick Splatterhouse, if you remember, was the promo last month where he talked about all of his unit getting wiped out in graphic detail. And it was like, oh my God. So this month he talks about some of the struggles he goes through and, listening to the voices in his head, things like that. And it's a very dark anti-hero. And what's great is it works out where he does his promo and talks about, helping this young woman. And he's kind of a mysterious guy. He's under a mask. He doesn't want to take it off. And he's got a very scarred up body. Loves living by himself. He gives her a big wad of cash to move into a house by himself to prepare for the future. And then the next promo in the order is the guy he's kind of feuding with or starting to feud with, Rainbow Pony. And Rainbow Pony comes out and kind of, without his makeup on, and kind of talks about, this is the real me, and I want to get to know the real Rick Splatterhouse. And sort of the guy behind the mask. So kind of like the idea is he's taking his mask off, or you take yours off and see what happens. Next up, we got Hawaiian Heartthrob, who of course talks about US Mail and how much he hates him because he's a horrible human being. Well, she is. And he will have revenge for his ancestors because US Mail has done some horrible things to this poor guy. Ultra babyface Hawaiian Heartthrob. Let's see here. Next, we get they reprinted Johnny Carnage's promo for whatever reason, and then we get another promo from our newcomer, the sensational RJ Gallo, who talks about why he is the greatest wrestler of all time. Even with his record of only 34 wins, 16 losses, and $49,000, he's still the greatest of all time. So he has a talk show called Heatwave. He was the first guest. Who will be the next guest? That's what to see next. And then we get a weird attack where Adam Cash and Punk Mike are wrestling, and then these mysterious figure on the Jumbotron drinks 3 shots from a bottle and then says they'll see him soon. We don't know who that's going to be. Let's see. Seth Adams Lee talking about Team Ace and how they're trying to break out of their mediocrity and consistent records, but they are doing pretty well. And how Wisp did really well in the UWL. And, of course, UWL is the Unknown Wrestler League. Wisp finished 5th overall, I believe, in that tournament or contest. And talks about that's a building block for him. We get a quick response from Dick Jackson talking about the complete scumbag Cesar Sterling, saying he has all these demands if they want to draft him that were pretty steep. And DJ's like, yeah, it's not happening. We get Rob Ratliff with a promo against Pork Chop Cash, who is Adam Cash, but he calls him Pork Chop. And he wants to, get another shot at beating him again. And then, of course, we get the East-West connection. Matthew Van Slaughter and Jane the Vixen Red. They're looking to get back their winning ways. We get Donnie Bloodstone, the Monster of Mayhem, kind of calling out anyone to challenge him. We'll see who steps up. We get a promo from Dr. Pilot Driver, who talks about RX Pain and reminds him that they used to run this place and they can run it again. So we'll see what Western Medicine does. And that's your BRL promos. Thank you for writing your promos, sending them in. We appreciate it. I know some people had to take a cycle off for promo at least, so we'll look forward to see you guys bounce back with that. There you go, Alex. Do you...
I dig it.
You dig it.
I dig it. Do you want to do, BWL now, or...
Sure. BWL, I will do that now. So, all right. So BWL, this is number 7, and this is September. So we start off with Gina Colada got in legal trouble in England. She goes over there and she keeps screaming there can only be one because she's the queen of the ring. Because the queen's being laid to rest and she's screaming there can only be one because I'm a Highlander fan. She gets arrested and Suplex bails her out and says you just can't return to London. But she's looking forward to getting a piece of Penny Punk, who, of course, has offered to have a rematch in the next pay-per-view, No Man's Land, and put the IWGP Championship on the line. So we got that to look forward to. Next up, we get... leads off. Oops, sorry. Oh, yeah. Here it is. Meat Train. Your friend of mine, Meat Train.
There it is.
She has agreed to a dog collar match with Addison Killswitch at No Man's Land. And they, of course, had a Pinfalls Anywhere match last show. And Meat Train won. So Meat Train's agreed to fight her in a dog collar, and she decides to accept this by knocking on her door and then beating her with a dog chain. So that was pretty ugly. And then we got Penny Punk, who talks about how she can't wait to this match to beat Gina and teach her a lesson and show her that when the title's on the line, it's a completely different situation. Next up, we got Addison Killswitch accepting the challenge. So that dog collar match will be pretty hot. We got Aria Gunpowder. Aria Gunpowder talks about Rachel Van Dorn and how she's kind of sick of her business. Rachel Van Dorn's a very influencer-type wrestler, and Aria Gunpowder is way more down to earth. She talks about Riley Reynolds being the next one she's gunning for, and of course she takes talk about Huntress and tells her to go back to Hot Topic she came out of. We get a really bizarre, fun read promo from Zuckaroo Zebop in her shaved head, but her and Beulah talk about some of the wrestlers in the league now, making fun of Baby, who's I'll talk about her later. But this kind of duo has been causing problems, so we're going to see what happens with Zuckaroo Zebop and Beulah Booger. We get Tiamat talking about recovering from her wounds from her brutal match where she won, but she took a lot of damage in the process, and is planning to take on Huntress. Now, behind the scenes, Huntress and Tiamat are in the Perfect 10 competition. They're going head to head, and the first person to 10 points will win any match. So it's like if you score 5 points and then 5 points, that's 10 points you win, or if it's 2-2, whatever it takes. So they've been going back and forth. There's like a close match. So I'm curious to see who's going to win. We get a promo from Riley Reynolds, our IWAR World Champion, and she kind of talks about her various challengers and how everyone wants a piece of her now, but she's ready and not afraid of it. And talks about, again, she won the IWAR World Championship as well. So she's had a lot of championship experience for a young wrestler. So good on her. Next up, we get Zuckaroo Zebop and Beulah Booger on a road trip, and they try to break into the Grady family ranch to see if Country Hammer Rick Grady's there because Bueller has a crush on him. So I guess she's over Danny DeVito. So
fair.
There's that. What's that?
That's fair.
That's fair. Next up, this is one of my favorite promos because it's bizarre. Baby, who is the character, she's playing herself as the character from Dirty Dancing.
Yeah.
Like nobody puts Baby in a corner. So the whole promo is her talking about what's going on in the movie. And this is a dancing space. Look at me, Johnny. It's like all these quotes from the movie. And then it just smoothly rolls right into a wrestling promo about Cinderella Frankenstein, boogers, and cornbread.
You guys ever watch that movie, Pretty Baby, with Brooke Shields?
No. Bad? Hard to watch?
It's a rough go. I'm not going to lie to you. It's a rough go.
What year was it made?
Probably early 80s, maybe? Late 70s?
Oh, so she's young.
Like underage young.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Okay, so if I watch it, I'm going to be on a watch list now?
First of all, you already are.
Yeah, it's probably true.
I don't think you have to worry about that, but it's like, yeah. It made me uncomfortable, and that's like, then you're fucked.
All right, so next up, let's move on from that. But I'm enjoying the Baby promise. No. Because it's just such a weird non sequitur. Anyways, Wildfire Betty Red talks about her winning a championship finally. She kind of got off the schneid, wins the championship, and then she's, while she lost her global championship, she's on the title page, so she's happy about that. Next up, we get another social media bomb from Rachel Van Dorn. All kinds of posts of her Instagram and Twitter and TikTok and everything else, and she's just talking about, like Aria Gunpowder. She's just sick of her. She wants to take her down. She's like, it's so bad that when Aria Gunpowder goes on Oprah Freewin, she has to talk about her. And then she takes the time to trash Starfall Tigress. Starfall Tigress is one of my favorites because she always makes crazy excuses for why she lost a match. It's always something wrong. So then after that, we get Huntress. And Huntress is also mentions about Tiamat in their little, continuing series. But she wants to take Aria Gunpowder. And she's eager to break through and kind of make her splash. So she's been real close. And then, again, this league is small. So it's easy to say, well, yeah, I can win the title page, but it's tough league. Very good competition. So that is the BWL Trash Talk. Alex.
All right, man. I dig that. Next up, Independent Wrestling League. What number is this? 162. First of all, I have to thank everyone for the 159 cards we had this cycle. I appreciate that.
Yes.
I also appreciate the 71 people in the Battle Royal.
That was crazy.
It's a good number. It's a good number. And Starscream gets the 71 free matches. Congratulations.
Yep.
Right off the bat, we have a issue of Ring Magazine with Sam Hain on the cover this cycle. So it's good to see. We do have a pinup picture of Unique Mateo, so get to see him for the first time. That's really dope. Don't forget, King of Pro Wrestling will be cycle 164. That is rapidly approaching. So we have The Wrestler, which is the original magazine of The Wrestler before the good people of London Publishing took it over in the 80s. So we see a picture of a bunch of shenanigans. Misty Hyatt's there. That's good. Xavier Jimenez it's not extreme enough. So again, it's I would like to do these covers. They're fun to do. We get a promo from Ricky Spanish. He's talking about Lone Star Redneck, and he's talking about Neo Dragon and the Regulators, and he's talking about Black and Deadeye. His big thing is like they want him in a cage match, and the fact of the matter is they treat this man like a criminal he will be. So be looking for that. California Gunslingers talking about our good friend Rod Camino, so that's good. Mike Cook is also making an appearance in this TT and the Amazing Graces. So, keep up the good work. We have Rex Chambers again. He's going after guys like he's still with Atari, and their relationship is interesting, Matt. So what's going on between Atari and Rex Chambers? Is there some sort of alliance here? Is it one-sided, perhaps?
Kind of a mentor protege. Like Atari's kind of helped him push him in the right direction.
Doesn't wear any pants though, like ever though. Talk about that a little bit. Like he's just perpetually in not even in trunks. He's just perpetually in the Speedo, just all the time. Speedo.
I don't know.
And a tank top and flip flops for like no reason. It's kind of weird. But yeah, talking about the Grand Prix Championship, which is weird. It's weird for sure. We got the Demolition Crew, the current unified World Tag Team Champions. They'll be taking on the Graces at the pay-per-view, by the way. I think there was a little confusion about that. But no, it's definitely the Graces at the pay-per-view. So just keep that in mind moving forward. So, Graces on a roll, though. I don't know if the Demolition Crew can take them on this one. We'll see how that goes. We have a TT with the Michigan Border Patrol talking about the Von Schnapps, and they're going to talk about the Triple D Cup as well. So there you go. You have the Chameleon here. He's talking about David the Decision. Nice to see the Chameleon out and about, getting into trouble. That's only the Chameleon can do. Let's see. We have Omega Squadron here. That is the American Patriot and the Christian Warrior. What are they doing?
What?
They should punch people in the face. Anyway, talking about tax codes. Talking about which is ironic because we're just talking about the IRS. We have kind of a fallout here from the Amazing Grace. They're still kind of upset about the loss of Luther Alexander, so they're pretty upset about that. But again, they get the face the Demolition Crew, so they have a shot at the titles here. So that's good. You have the Empire of Chaos making the long-awaited returns. Glad to have those guys back again. Which one of these guys are potentially, or any of these guys are potentially a future world title contender, if not champion. So just keep that in mind. We're talking about the Graces, of course. And then we have the Regulators, who those dirty scoundrels that in fact turned on Luther Alexander, and they're still having their feud that will never blow off. I swear it's like a BRL feud that just never ends between the Regulators and the Von Stops. So, it's good stuff. We have Rockavino and his yoga classes, which is probably my favorite thing I've seen this cycle. So, kudos to you, sir. You get a tip of the hat from me on that one. Then we have David Decision. He's talking about our good friend the Chameleon. We have Waz, who potentially could be a future IWL Elite champ. We will see. And then we have more stuff with Camino and talking with Misty Hyatt, which makes sense. We have Death Leprechaun, 4-time IWA World 6-man champion. So, let's see if they can do some damage over here as well. Who we got? We got Queen Angela. She's doing stuff. Big Bob Harris talking about Barry Stevens. She's trying to get beat up. Big Bob Harris had the shot at the Grand Prix and lost 2 straight, by the way. That's how it goes. We have World Offensive History talking about Omega Squadron, so that's cool. We have a newcomer called the Hawaiian Punch. I feel like there was a wrestler out of that used that moniker, the Hawaiian Punch, but I don't remember. Was it Stevie Yaffe?
Wrestler or game wrestler?
No, it was a real wrestler. Maybe Stevie Yaffe used it, or Tonga Kid or one of those guys. Maybe it was Superfly Tui. Does everyone remember Superfly Tui from Hawaii?
Sure.
He was in Polypro. It's Polynesian Pro Wrestling, by the way, which you would find on your local financial news network from time to time. So it was Liam Maivia's promotion in Hawaii. Then we have a bunch of new guys in here. I've never seen these guys. It's Foreign Tongue, the man with the rotten attitude, the Blue Chip Diamond. So, cool. I don't know any of these guys' names, though. So their faction includes Hawaiian Punch, Foreign Tongue, Attitude Terror, Blue Chip Diamond, and Claims Adjuster. So,
Claims Adjuster is a champion.
And the Textbook Wrestler, yeah, he is a champion. So, nice job. Welcome to the IWL. Way to make a splash. We have Neo Dragon on the search for Dixon Ticonderoga. Where is Dixon? No one knows. Still pretty upset about his departure. Then we have What They're Saying with Atari, the Vostap, and Barry Stevens. I like that belt. Yeah, nice job on the IWL belt, by the way.
Thanks.
My favorite part of this bulletin is where are they now, Billy Jack Novak? Son of a bitch.
I'd appreciate that.
He was so over for the amount of time that I'd never seen either real wrestling or imaginary wrestling. Someone get so over so quickly and then vanish.
Yeah, he was. He was a wrestler I enjoyed writing, but like there's
nowhere to go.
It just wasn't really much to go with him, so I was like, eh.
Okay, we have Sheepdog Road Grady, former IWL League champion. Again, he's going after Dave Lazlewski here, so they're gonna be probably teaming up in the future. We'll see how that goes. It's good to have some backup in the IWL for sure. Again, we are still looking for Dixon Ticonderoga. Even Lewis's Deadeye, again, they're continuing their feuds with Atticus Black and Ricky Spanish. Unique Mateo doing Unique Mateo stuff. Hunter Callahan is still talking about Racer McNips. You're not going to be able to let that one go. Lewis's Deadeye talking about Ricky Spanish. We got Cutter Carver. He's going to put up $50,000 in a street fight. That's cool.
Yeah,
that's cool. Buying spot. Okay, I dig it. And then we have the list. R.I.P. the Killers. Heard you chumps are being repackaged because you suck. Those AWA jigs can kick rocks. Fat Boy, Big Ben, you sick. Canada as well. And regulators, mount up yourself Fruit Loops. Oh, that's cool. We have the debut, I guess you call it debut, of Brady Buckshot. So I think it was his first or second cycle. I think it might be his first.
First, I think.
I think so, yeah. So welcome to the IWL. So guys, that is the IWL in a nutshell. I don't like doing recaps of TT, by the way. I prefer Luke to do them because he takes 4 hours with it and he gets really detailed orientated.
Right.
And I love it. But again, if you want an actual good recap of the TT, read the plays. How about that?
Right.
Yes.
Right. That's what you got to do.
That's what makes. I think that's when we talk about the IWL successes. That's a big part of it. I think it's probably one of the biggest parts of why the IWL is successful is the plays. Having the ability to quickly scan a page or two and figure out everything that's going on in the league is super important. You're not, especially with the amount of TT we have in the league, being able to, just scan quickly and go through it it's a handy tool I think it makes the IWL, a place that's very easy to follow. So once things are easy to follow, it's easy to add on to it. So
Right.
all right, man. I dig that. So Matt, you wanna finish off with? We're gonna remember to do the NWL this time, or we're gonna cut it?
I read it earlier.
Okay.
No, I won't be able to do as good a job as Jeff.
No, of course not. Of course not.
Because they're so in tune with it. But I do a lot of more like technical support stuff for the NWL, but I'm trying to be more helpful. But just to kind of mention, I noticed Curtis Spiker said some cool names there. I think he was saying that during your claims adjuster. All the various people. So maybe that's his folks. Okay. And Derek had to take a break to walk the dog.
Poop. I get it.
Yeah. Digging for my pool. I hope it's pool and not poop. But who knows?
You ever walk the dog with like your yo-yo?
I ever walked a dog with a yo-yo? No.
Okay, back in I think Mike Drake can attest to this. One time, we had the yo-yo people come to my school.
Oh no!
Yes, and we had we had the whole thing. It was the whole thing in the auditorium, and we had these people with like light up like Dunkin' yo-yos, and they told us not to use drugs.
I have a friend who is like a super yo-yo guy. Like that's just, and it was so funny because none of us knew this. Yeah. And then one day we were talking about stuff, and one of my friends like was cleaning his house and found an old yo-yo, and he was like, "Oh, took it out of the box." And Mike's like doing all these yo-yos,
ridiculous.
And we were all like, "Where's this come from?" He's like, "Oh, I always was like good." It's like a lot of time spent alone. It's all right, but hey, we all have little special skills. So NWL, this is cycle number 189. So we're closing in on 200. So that's pretty cool. So we start off the promos, trash talk wise, just kind of talk about what's going on. So you guys remember the dos tres, how do you say it? Darren's gonna be like, "You're not saying it right."
Yeah.
The NWL 6-man challenge. He kind of gives you guys some advice. Our hope is that you all will play stronger as a trio. And one good way to do it is if you don't want to sacrifice your single strategies, is if you have 3 wrestlers, put one of them in a trio with 2 other players, and then that way you guys all can have 3 wrestlers competing for trios titles as a team, but you're not really sacrificing your chance to win a singles title. And as all of you guys get better and better, it becomes harder and harder to win. So the Clash of Champions is coming up soon, and it's 24th. It's Mark Justice defending against Dark Danger in the winner of the Wheeler Classic. Nick Dane, so that's going to be a big thing. And Mark Justice, of course, is riding a wave of heat because of his horrific heel turn that no one saw coming. So let's get right to the promos here. So it starts off, we get an oldie, a flashback promo from, that's right, Luther Alexander when he was in the NWL. And it was back when it had its 100th issue.
Yeah.
And how in 2 years, Commissioner Luther Alexander brought the NWL to new heights. Very true. And that's a picture, I believe. That's one of the pictures you had done by, what's his name? Warner Morrick? Or how do you say it?
Yeah, so that's Warner, I think, Merrick, who did all those, who did all the art for that wrestling card game. So.
Oh, yeah, Superstars, Champions of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Like and, and not only that, I actually have the Leotari drawing I have done by him.
Yep.
So, yep, good time. So we have a nice history of the NWL, by Akeem Bixenspan. Talking about when Luther walked in 2013, and then when he came back as a commissioner. So I was talking about all the things he did here, the Luther Alexander, the Alexander Asylum, his influence as a Russian billionaire playboy. Just 20 years old when he joined. So that's right. We've got real age. So 2000. So Luther's about to turn 30.
Yeah.
Oh my God, bitter old man. And he says how Johnny B's rightfully concerned about Luther present a threat to the NWL. So what is Luther doing there? What's he trying to do?
Just stir shit. He's bored. He's bored. He
causing problems.
He got bounced from the IWL, so he can't wrestle there anymore. And he's in the BRL messing around with Stevie Vertigo, but otherwise he's pretty bored right now. So he's looking to challenge a young and up and coming superstar to a fight to see if they can go one-on-one with the great one. But unfortunately, it seems like that the wrestlers in the NWR are scared, and they are frightened. And they're frightened, and rightfully so. Like I said, I think I mentioned earlier, this generation of NWL managers are actually smart compared to years past. So.
That's right. Yeah. And Luther has 5,000 wins. So
who knows?
Enough.
That's not. I don't track titles anymore. There's just too many.
That's my job.
It's just too many.
So all right. So our next promo is from Death Row, and of course Shackles Malone and Cellblock Charlie are talking about how they're still bitter about what happened at the Glass Clash Champions, and they want a Young Lions tag team title shot, so they've earned their spot. They want some payback on my two dads, Nick Dana, Wolf Keenan. Nick Dana, Wolf Keenan, I gotta say, Honor Revolt's got to be on the way out pretty soon. It's got to be like this cycle or next. So let's see here. They're the beef with Zanroar, who they were teamed with, and they turned on him. So they talk about they want Zanroar and Ryoto in a no DQ Falls Count Anywhere tag team match at the next Futurescape. So they're keeping busy. And as a reminder to players, it's really good and helps us as commissioners if you come right out and say, I want to face blank and this kind of blank match. Yep. Really helps us because what it does is, and I would just say this, don't lead off your feud with, I want you in a Hell in a Cell, loser leaves town match. Like, there's nowhere to go from there. None. So give us, start off small, then throw in a stipulation, build up. And the stipulations can be fun. U.S. Mail is considering challenging Hawaiian Heartthrob to a flag match. So, who knows what will happen. Next up, we got words from one of my favorites, Johnny Aztec. And Johnny Aztec is talking about how, everyone's been fooled by Mark Justice and how they've had beefs in the past, but Mark Justice turned heel after their match. So it's kind of one of those things that, he's really bitter about, facing him. So he wants to face him in a last man standing match at Futurescape. So we got that going on. So that feud, even though Mark Justice has turned bad, Johnny Aztec is still, having it. And I think it's good because, I remember like back in the day when like Pollendorf would turn face and it was like everyone just forgot the fact that he did all these horrible things. Sure, Roddy Piper turned good. So now the feud with so-and-so who's also a good guy is over,
Yes.
Yes. So next up we have Scarlett Breyer. Scarlett Breyer, I'm gonna butcher this name. Scarlett Breyer. And she's talking it's Angel of Light, Angela Blanco. And she's talking about Scarlett Breyer. And just building that feud. Now what's tough here is only so many female wrestlers in the NWL. So I appreciate the guys really put the work in to get these over. Next week, the resurrected hero, Zanroar. Zanroar, by the way, if you're not aware, the avatar they use is Conan the Barbarian, which I kind of enjoy as like a He-Man type brawling wrestler. That's just fun.
I appreciate that.
So Zanroar, has a kind of a promo where he ends up getting in the San Quentin match. It's like a snapshot, looking at the match, and we get that kind of recap. But there's at the end, Zanroar is talking about his being allied with my two dads, Father Arturo and Father Conrad, and how basically they showed him the right path, and he's gonna take it the right way. So we'll see what happens. And then should also mention that the Nurse Tiffany character is actually Tiffany Breyer in the BWL. So that's a good helpful thing there because I was like, oh, new wrestler. Oh, okay, that's put two and two together. Next, you get the confessional corner with Father Arturo and Father Conrad, and they're kind of talking about Nightmare Court. That Not to underestimate Angel of Light, Angelina Blanco. They also got the Dead Man and Prince Blood, Nightmare Court. Kind of just. I like the fact that it's building. These feuds are building, because I think what happens a lot is you have feuds that just kind of go from 0 to 60. So having like all these twists and turns makes it more fun, and also when you kind of cross the streams, so you bring more players into it, it makes it more entertaining that way. Let's see here. Oh, they talk about Ricky Irish Wolfhound King, who's new but looking to cause problems, and I enjoy that. And of course, they're looking to enter the tag derby and go far. They actually did pretty well. So I think they actually won the last round. They had the highest score, or one of the scores. We had the bunch of teams with high scores, but that's really impressive considering you're a rookie tag team. And finishing with Peace Be With You. Flashbacks. We got a promo from Irish Wolfhound Ricky King, and just talking about his Irish roots, new kid in the block. He's part of COT, the Circle of Tyrants. They're helping him out, so that's a cool thing that way. And then he's a 6 foot tall, 250 pounds, solid, solid guy. So he's looking to really make his waves. Next up, we get a promo from I'm going to say this right, Vicious Vic Morgan. And what I like about this promo, it starts off and it's like Superior Shrimp Shiamoto, the guy I was talking about earlier. And he's like kind of going through the motions, and then Morgan comes out and just wallops him and beats the hell out of him, and then talks about you people are no better than him, and really giving the fans the business. Says every time he crosses, let's see, where is Oliver Livingston doesn't like him, so he's going to cross his path. He's going to take him out, and then of course Superior Shrimp Shiamoto, he says, I'm going to take you every time I cross. Now, I would say this: it's not bad to pick a feud with somebody who's not really good, because you're going to win. But I would say that pick someone who promos, because it's hard to run a promo, one-sided feud. It can be. So next up, we get a spectacular promo from Mark Justice, and he's talking about his heel turn and how the fans are wrong, and he's the one busting his ass. They should be looking to him. You can't say he's Johnny B's can't be mad at him because he's the one giving them better ratings, putting more money in his pocket. And the fans holding a sign saying "Why Mark Why?" That's a nice touch. He just talks about that. He talks about Dark Danger challenging him for the title, because he's the Young Lions champion, Mark Justice. So he's kind of had enough of him. And of course, Nick Dane, he makes fun of Nick Dane because he's like, "You won every title except this one," So that's going to be a big match too. Next up, we got Oliver Livingston kind of talking about his relationship with Dark Danger. Oliver Livingston is a super good guy. Dark Danger is a sinister dude. They don't really understand that kind of combo or dynamic, but it's working. So Oliver Livingston's recovering from some injuries, but this is the first time I think I've had a promo by Livingston come in where he didn't save the day for somebody randomly, which is always a fun read. If you're not aware, Oliver Livingston's kind of gimmick is like he'll be just doing something normal everything, and like a woman's water breaks or baby falls out of a window and he catches it. So it's always something. Next up, we got Hio the Teamster, who had a brief successful tag team with Mark Justice, kind of asking him what happened here, and then he also says, "Does anybody lend me money?" So he can face Mysterious Benefactor, and so he's asking guys in the league for money because he wants to be a millionaire.
Yep.
Next up, we got Dark Danger. Actually, it's sorry. I'm gonna say it like Bonesaw. Dark Danger is ready. Which, by the way, that was something we were exchanging today at work. We were quoting Randy Savage as Bonesaw. So Dark Danger kind of is talking about, winning the championship means to him, and Mark Justice, Nick Dane, these guys. He's focused on claiming the championship. He's really focused on that, and which is nice. And I think what's going to be good here is it's such dynamics. Nick Dane, Dark Danger, Mark Justice. You have a really good hero, really bad guy, kind of mysterious, unpredictable guy in the middle. So tell him to face their fears. The Danger Zone is a good promo. And we get Nightmare Court. Nightmare Court is closing out our promos, and that is Xeris. I'm going to say the name's wrong here. Oop, switch back a page. Get down there. Okay. So I'm going to say Xeris. I'm feeling like Alex here with these names.
Yep.
I'm not going to try it. Anyways, Nightmare Court. I'll make it easy this time. Come down and they're, sending a message to Xanror. And they're telling, they're coming to collect your soul, you traitor. Because Xanror turned face, essentially, with it's kind of the big thing got lost. And Mark Justice, huge, shocking turn to the bad side, was Xanror basically turning good. So Nightmare Court's going to, settle that score. We'll see what happens. But, I'm sorry. Hombre Muerto Xeris, Principe Oscuro de Sangre, and Scarlet Brea. Oh, that's our promos. And again, this is me pitch hitting for Aaron and Jeff. But we will teach, yes. So what I like about that about right now is there's such a variety of characters. You go to some leagues and you see like 8 guys doing the promo of come out in the suit with the sunglasses and the suitcase and, whatever. Or, whatever kind of promo, I like the variety. It really makes it fun to read. And this was a pinch hit for me, so I read these things about 4 hours ago, so I was kind of skimming through. So, as we like to say, Alex will...
Dig it.
Exactly. So, let's see. Just getting back to the IWAR draft stuff, I would say that, if you want to be in the IWAR draft, a couple things to keep in mind. One, you can be in the draft, get drafted, and you don't have to leave right away. You don't have to leave until you've finished your NWL run. But keep in mind, the way the IWAR draft scores now for the contest, because whoever has the most points earned through like title page wins, will get a shot at the Revolution Championship. So it's a good way to get that title shot. If you want in, contact me sooner than later. I know I was talking with a couple people earlier, and one was kind of hemming and hawing, and I said, well, you can create a new wrestler. That's totally cool. If you want to do that, the player, had a wrestler from the past, and they're not going to bring him back, but I think they're going to bring a wrestler in. So what'll make my job easier, I'm going to be doing the promo stuff for this weekend and next weekend. So the draft special edition is just basically like fun read stuff. If you want to be in the draft, let me know. And again, remember, you don't have to leave right away, so you can finish your time in NWL, and that could be a long ways off. That's totally cool. So that's that, and I think that's all of it, really.
All right, my friend.
All right.
I dig it.
You working tomorrow?
Every day.
Oh, what the hell, dude?
Yeah. All right, guys. So we are officially out of time. So for Matt Riley, for Derek Tuttle, I'm Alex G.